One.
The power of two.
Two can be as bad as one.
Power of many.
Too many.
Power of one.
And one by one.
Power of two.
Two.
The power of many.
You know what, man? I'm so sick of this bullshit.
Welcome in, everyone. I'm the disapproving dad, and The Acolyte is finally over.
Oh, thank God.
That was the longest 8 episodes of TV I have ever watched in my life. When The Acolyte was announced back in December of 2020, there was a lot of uncertainty looming around this project, and Star Wars is in a weird place. The awful sequel trilogy was still fresh in our minds, and The Mandalorian Season 1 had been released with the launch of Disney+, and I, for one, quite enjoyed it. I was by no means sold on Disney at the helm of Lucasfilm, but the buzz around the Star Wars franchise was slightly positive. I heard all the future projects from the 2020 investor call, and I was at least willing to give them a shot, to include The Acolyte. And then the interviews and pre-show hype around the show began, and we've all seen them before, but let's never forget.
It's pretty gay, let's be honest.
So my character, she's a powerful leader. In a very woman-centered world.
What is this Mickey Mouse shit?
I wanted to watch this show for a new reason now. I knew this was going to be the worst Star Wars project to date, and that is saying something. It was an I had to be there and see it for myself kind of moment. As a beloved franchise I grew up with and wanted to experience the future content with my kids was ruined. We did it though. I made it all the way to the end, even if it meant a few more gray hairs in the process.
You almost killed me.
If you are watching this video, you more than likely also watched The Acolyte just to see if it was true that a brand and universe you loved had actually been destroyed by not only the woke mob, but incompetent, unintelligent hacks that were hired to create this abysmal TV show.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
If you didn't watch it, good for you. You kept your brain cells and saved yourself from hours of frustration, and maybe just in my case, screaming at the TV a little bit. It was deserved, okay? The beaver humped the girl's leg and had pronouns. But anyways, those are the least of the show's problems. The Acolyte might get to call itself canon thanks to Lucasfilm, but it forgets the core focus of storytelling in George Lucas's universe, or any universe for that matter. The lightsaber fights, space battles, and stunning visuals are all great in Star Wars, but the focal points of these stories are the characters and how they develop throughout their adventures. For those that claim this show is amazing and such a great addition to the Star Wars universe and entertainment industry as a whole, let's see if that holds up. Here are a few of the character arcs from The Acolyte, even if it means revisiting this stupid beaver again. Let's get this over with. We are going to start with Jedi Padawan Jeki Lon. The writers want you to know she is smart, capable, and one step ahead of all the Jedi Knights and Masters around her, as her plans, she recommends, supersede everyone else's, even though she is the lowest ranked and least experienced. She actually just comes across as an insufferable know-it-all, and her clever mind and striking genius the writers want you to oh so desperately believe is a cheap vector to further the plot. It's emotionless and makes you not care about the story. During the first fight with Darth Nudity, otherwise known as Chimere, all the background Jedi Masters and Jedi Knights are cut down instantly. But the rookie in training, Jeki, holds her own and gets an extended fight scene while other Jedi Masters run away in shame. It takes Darth Nudity to fight dirty and use his mini hidden lightsaber blade to finally kill her. Her arc was she was smart and the best at everything she did and always outdid the other Jedi around her, just to die in the end, in an emotionless death that does nothing to further the plot. Moving on to Jedi Knight Yord. He is sent with his Padawan to arrest Osha, who the Jedi believe has committed a murder and have somehow honed in on her specifically after being told the murderer of the Jedi is a black female with a certain style haircut. It makes the universe with thousands of star systems and species feel so incredibly small.
Now that's just racist.
Yord is used as the comic relief. It is emphasized the Jedi only draw their weapon when it is absolutely necessary in this series, yet Yord draws his lightsaber and uses it as a flashlight. He inevitably has his neck snapped by Chimere and dies. Padawan Jeki held her own in a lightsaber fight against Chimere, but Yord died extremely easy, even though being far more trained and experienced. His arc is that he is an incompetent teacher who is outshined by his female students and dies and does nothing to further the plot. Yord is the representation of what Leslie Headland thinks of all men. They're useless, incompetent, and need to get out of the way of the females underneath him. On to the Beaver. Basil is a friend of the Jedi and is used as nothing more than a tracking dog. He sniffs things and finds things. And also, we can't forget this.
What's that? That's Basil. Is he or they with us?
It was so kind of Osha to not assume Basil's pronouns. We never truly find out how Basil identifies, or what any of his motivations are, since in one scene, he quite literally sniffs out May as an intruder and tries to fight her by humping her leg, and in another scene, tries to sabotage Master Soul's ship by ripping out the wires like the little rodent he is, and tries to help May escape. His arc is completely unknown, and doesn't provide any comic relief, and is another plug-the-gap character for the plot, so the writers can try and tie this mess together. And he has a weird relationship with Soy Boy Magadana. We didn't forget about him. Magadana exists in the show for the sole purpose for Leslie Headland to project her viewpoint of how all white men should be. Effeminate, weak, timid, and subservient. Mog's voice was comically soft to show the audience how insignificant and submissive this character was to everyone around him. It has nothing to do with the fact that he was a Padawan learner. We have had many strong Padawans in the past from both genders. He also has this weird relationship with Basil. I mean, this is Disney Star Wars. I don't want to know what goes on behind the closed blast doors back of the Jedi Temple. Mog's arc was he was weak and useless and a laughing point for the audience, and remains that way until the last episode.
That's disgusting.
Moving on to Master Vernestra. I can't tell if the writing or the acting for this character was worse. The writing and character were created by Leslie Headland, and the character was actually played by her wife, Rebecca Henderson, who was handpicked for her talent.
No way, lady. Hell no.
She is supposedly this strong Jedi Master who uses a purple light whip. For what the other Jedi in the show lack, she conveniently has. The writers impression her character as stoic, powerful in the Force, and skilled with her lightsaber, even if it doubled as her BDSM whip of pleasure back at the Jedi Temple. These are all the things the writers refused to incorporate in the other Jedi during this time period, who were supposed to be representing the Jedi at the height of their power. We find out she was the former master to Chimere, and then in the end, forgives mind-wiped May after she murdered multiple Jedi because she believes it is all the man's fault that influenced her behavior in the first place. She goes from being the most powerful in-charge Jedi to staying the same, even though after a colossal failure happened under her watch, where dozens of Jedi were murdered. Now on to Chimere, another comic relief insert who helps May along her path by supplying her with intel and supplies as she seeks revenge on the Jedi after she was the one who actually started the fire inside of her own home. The writers were terrible in hiding the fact that Chimere was in fact the secret Sith Smilo Ren all along. It was painfully obvious. He was with May as they traveled to kill the Jedi Master Kelnaka. Of course it was him. This reveal was lackluster. He goes on to kill multiple Jedi and then kidnaps Osha. He exposes his naked body to her and somehow then gains her trust, and then convinces Osha to be his apprentice. Of course Chimere is just a representation of Hollywood executive and convicted rapist Harvey Weinstein, where Leslie served as his personal assistant for years. But he is more than that. In the span of a few days, the writers thought you should understand his pain and forgive the murders he committed because he was somehow abused by the Jedi in the past. His character never changed motivations. The writers hoped the audience had their own arc and change of heart for Darth Biceps. But I feel just the same as I did when he was revealed. He was still the bad guy. We get 2 flashbacks to see Master Torben when he was a Padawan. He is unfocused, impatient, and oblivious to the world around him. He just wants to leave. He is a rookie in training and does what he is told by multiple Jedi Masters around him. After their mission, he is so riddled with guilt, he goes into a meditation trance where he terribly ages and then willingly kills himself when told to. He is so stricken with grief after following along with the plan of his Jedi masters above him, when the plan all along was the morally right thing to do in the first place, that causes him to kill himself. Moving on to Osha, who is just as boring of a character as her sister. She is a failed Jedi working as a maintenance worker on some type of a transport ship. She is then accused of murder, but seems to not mind as the plot meanders on even after the prisoner transport ship crashes. The writers try to introduce her motivations as morally good, as she tries to help another prisoner on the ship, but that backfires, and just shows she is unintelligent and too trusting. The Jedi all meet up again on the crash site, furthering the plot not one bit, and she is kind of just there in the way, as the Jedi find out her twin sister is actually the evil one. She gets taken prisoner by Darth Nudity, where she conveniently forgets about all the people he just killed, and believes she's doing the right thing for her sister by accepting to train under Chimere, and also romantically falls in love with him. Osha's character arc is Stockholm Syndrome, but in a matter of only 2 days, which makes it not only cringe, but not even executed properly. On the contrary, May starts the show evil. She's angry at the Jedi and kills a few of them because she is upset they were on her planet when she started the fire in her own home. She's captured by Master Soul, and we as the audience are somehow supposed to feel bad for her because of her past that was inevitably all her fault. She has her mind wiped after she had plenty of time to escape with Osha and Chimere and is just captured by the Jedi to be labeled a victim. Her motivations never changed. She always wanted to kill the Jedi. She went from hatred to still hatred, but now she can't remember her motivations and is now told she is justified for what she did because Master Vernestra just gets her.
You know, feminism.
And finally, we have Master Soul. He understands his duty as a Jedi and wants to fulfill the mission of the Jedi Order by training the next generation of Force-sensitive children and protect those in the galaxy who can't protect themselves. He goes into the lesbian space witch's fortress to rescue Osha, who not only wants to go with him, but is actually in danger as her Mother Anasea, tries to disintegrate her twin May because the Jedi are trespassing. Master Soul is force strangled to death by his former student because Osha conveniently finds out he killed her mother years ago, when in the moment he was just trying to do his duty and protect innocent people. Master Soul was the hero and had to deal with the supposed failure of his mission for years, as he was reminded. But in reality, he fought for Osha and wanted a better life for her. After all that, the writers thought this.
I can assure you, while this is a terrible tragedy, it was the work of one flawed man.
The problem here is that the people hired to write for this show, including Leslie Headland, do not know what a hero is. Even in a tragedy, there is a hero. But Master Soul is labeled as flawed. They had to actually tell you because they did such a shit job trying to show you throughout the series. I didn't cover every character, but you get the picture. $180 million for this catastrophe. The acting was terrible. The sets were cheap looking. The CGI was a mess. The costumes looked like they were bought from the Amazon warehouse having an open and damaged box sale, and it did not feel like Star Wars. All of these failures, however, do not add up to the convoluted and boring storyline where character development was sacrificed for inserted personal ideologies and cheap gimmicks. This just pandered to whatever small audience that actually tuned in for the show. The only character arc and life lessons I would ever want my kids to watch would be that of Master Soul, who is the actual hero of the series, no matter how many times it is told he is the villain. My kids will not be watching this mess, though. For now, we will stick to the original trilogy and the prequels and a few other Star Wars projects that won't teach them the wrong life lessons. Kids want adventure, not to be preached at. If you stay with me this long, I want to thank you for watching. We all know Season 2 of The Acolyte is inevitable. I say bring it on. My kids won't be watching, but I will. It's just too funny at this point. Do me a favor and subscribe to my channel and leave a like on this video if you can. There are plenty of other frustrated parents and lifelong nerds out there who feel the same way, and it helps tremendously in reaching them. There is much more to come. Stay tuned for further.